folks that know me are asking why the sudden interest in agriculture, regenerative agriculture, chickens, cows, sheep, right? Um, Soil, grass, trees, farms. It's so far removed from what I've invested the first half of my life into, and it really boils down to the pandemic in 2020 introduced something that was unique to me in my first 43 years, was that there was a real food shortage. I didn't think I was ever going to face something like that in my life. And I realized how fragile my local family was and how dependent we were on somebody else to provide for us. In the Army, I was an IT guy. I supported, the brave and the bold and the courageous from behind a keyboard and behind a monitor, and I absolutely loved it. I did it for 20 years. And then even as I've gotten out, I've still remained interested in service, support to service members through contracting, through opportunities, through volunteering, through whatever opportunities are presented. My in-town job is the IT director for a CPA firm. So again, that allows me to continue to leverage the experience and the skills that I acquired over 20 years. But none of that put food on my table directly, right? That's an indirect. My man hour in support of an accounting firm results in a paycheck after a pay period that I then go and walk into a supermarket and then buy the food that's available. But what happens when it's not available? It was a question I never had to ask, and it was presented to us, within the last 2 years. So, do I want to spend another 20 years behind a monitor on a keyboard? I don't know. Probably not. I got everything out of that I think I'm going to get. So the next phase is about, what weaknesses do I still have as a person? What interests do I still have? What do I want to do as a citizen now in a more stable environment, right? In the Army, you moved every 3 to 5 years, and even in those 3 to 5 years, you were subject to a deployment where you spent 6 months to a year overseas. So the name of the game was short term, right? Any of your goals were short term. It was really hard to invest in a community, knowing that you might get moved sometime soon. So you focused on the Army because that wasn't going to change no matter where you were. You focused on your family because hopefully they understood what you were doing, and the resiliency that was built inside of that unit again carries on to the next place. But I'm now looking at a place through a 20-year lens. I've never been able to do that. What can I do in 20 years? What can I do in 40 years? Where are my kids going to be? What's my wife going to be doing? And then I turn that in, I turn that question on myself. And I'll tell you, it started with, I was watching a podcast. Joe Rogan was hosting Diana Rodgers and Rob Wolf. And they were, one promoting the book Sacred Cow and the docu-series or documentary Sacred Cow. And they were talking about how certain parties, for a variety of reasons, have vilified livestock and the raising of animals. and then pointed out hypocrisies like, well, that's fine if you don't want to raise, slaughter, and eat an animal. But when you plant acres of corn or soy or another cash crop monocrop, don't fool yourself into believing that they didn't eradicate all life that previously existed on that plot of land. There were things that lived there before that corn. So, starting from the ground, earthworms and insects, the birds that ate them, the coyotes that stalked them, the predatory birds, owls and eagles and falcons and hawks and skunks and, just you name it. All of that stuff was there, and none of that stuff will be allowed to survive through the management practice of cultivating the corn or the soy or the cash crop, fill in the blank. They're going to pepper it with pesticides, fungicides, and they are going to shoot, trap, and kill whatever gets onto the land. They're not going to let it put the cash crop at risk. So you may believe that by not eating animals, you're going to save their lives. They're just going to be destroyed in another way. Every single thing that's ever lived on this earth is going to die. You just have to accept that. And if you think that raising livestock is a cruel practice, then I want you to watch a pack of coyotes take down a cow. You tell me how humane that is. Nature is vicious. Nature is cruel. There's nothing humane about that circle of life. So just because we don't raise a cow doesn't mean that cow's not going to die. So what can we do? We can protect it. We can put it inside of a fence. We can protect it from predators. We can cultivate the highest quality forage. We can move it. We can give it sunshine, fresh air. And all of those things result in a better day-to-day life for the animal. Little to no illnesses because they're being moved away from their fecal matter if you do managed grazing. And the land is made better because of their presence. So am I going to spend $3 on synthetic fertilizer? Or am I going to thank the cow every time it dumps $3 out its backside? And I don't have to beg the cow to do that. I don't have to pay the cow to do that. It just wants to do that. There's no phone call that's made in the morning. There's no interview process. There's no benefits. There's no compensation. There's no overtime. There's just existence. The cows just want to wake up today. They want to go eat on some grass. They want to go drink some water. They want to go relieve themselves. And they want to go lay down in the shade. And they're content with doing that every single day of their life until their life is no more. So how can that be made better? Through human management. I'd like to be a part of that. And I'd like to know, fingers crossed, I hope there's never another pandemic ever, not just while I'm alive. But the reality is we're a global species capable of producing, being infected by, subject to, right? The natural and unnatural world. I'd like to at least have a relationship with a local farmer. So that's why you've seen me partner with Joe Saucer and JS2 Cattle Company. With my relationship to him, I don't have to worry about if Publix has run out of beef. I can just call Joe and get me a couple pounds of ground beef. I can put in an order for a quarter or a half or a whole cow. I can fill a freezer with a year's worth of food for my family. Pandemic or otherwise, there is no supply chain issue. It's all local. I won't be subject to the bottlenecks that exist through centralized processing and ownership of a food commodity. I can do the same thing with chickens. I can raise them here on leased land. I don't have to own this. I can just find somebody willing to lease me a half an acre. I can put 30 birds in a tractor, move them every day, and 10 weeks later have 50 5-pound carcasses that I can put in my freezer. I can do the same thing with sheep. I can do the same thing with pigs. Like I can do laying hens. I don't have to just do meat birds. But I can be responsible for providing my family's food while skipping the middleman. So no longer do I have to commit the man hour to somebody else to pay me to go buy food. I can just commit the hour to raising the food. And in the meantime, raise enough food to sell to other people so that my time is paid for. I mean, I'm not ignorant to the fact that I will still need to have an income. I'm blessed in the respect that the Army is going to pay me every month for the rest of my months just for walking around and breathing, my retirement. Unfortunately, fortunately, I'm also a little messed up, so I got some disability. That's also going to come every month for the rest of my months. So I have a backstop. I do have a security blanket, financial security blanket, but yeah, I'm still very interested in the transition to a more full-time, on-land, self-sufficient lifestyle. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to homestead. I don't want to move out into the middle of nowhere. I mean, everybody that knows me knows I'm a Marvel fan. I still want to go see Thor: Love and Thunder in 3D in the local movie theater. I'm a fat boy by nature. I don't want to move away from restaurants. I'm not saying that I'm only going to eat the food that I make. I'm not going to that extreme. I think there's a balance that can be struck. But I won't know unless I try. And you fail 100% of the things you never attempt. So this is the attempt. So call me crazy. That's fine. People out there are going to call you crazy. That's fine. But I want to meet you. I want to see what you're doing. I want to know your story. I want to know where you came from and where you think you're going. I want to know if I can help, if we can partner up, if I can volunteer, if I can promote you. I'm not out here to be, a billionaire. That has no interest in me. But I am interested in knowing that I can fend for myself and that my family doesn't have to worry about, at the very least, where their food is coming from and if there's food going to be coming during hard times. So either way. Little things like what I just did, trimming back the fence line by hand, right, or manually with a pair of clippers. That's a little bit of therapy. It's therapeutic. It allows me to kind of chip away at a project little at a time while I'm waiting on something else to unfold because I get a little impatient. So this gives me something to do. It helps me, it allows me to help a community neighbor whose land it's difficult to manage on your own. She's got horses, she's got laying hens. It's 14 acres of land. She's got a daytime job too. She's got a husband, she's got kids. She can't do all this by herself. If I can help, great. We decided that let's try chickens. Let's see if it works. They'll be ready in October. But while I'm here and while she's allowing me to use her space, then I think it's my obligation to pay her back with a little manual labor and some landscaping, some site improvement. The Army kind of beats that into you, right? Site improvement every day. Improve the foxhole. So this is going to be interesting. This can be viewed as a little off the rocker, hey, that's okay. You have an opinion. I'm not trying to convince you otherwise. Um, but if you're in a similar situation and you have these kind of questions, I just want to show people that it's possible. Again, I live in a 3-story townhome in a kind of suburban area outside of a major city. I don't own any of the properties that you've ever seen me work on. I just reached out. I found people, or they found me. Um, I am pursuing land ownership. I am pursuing my own personal leases. I do want to have a little more ownership over the projects and interests that I want to pursue. But that doesn't have to prevent me from doing anything at all. I'm about to build a chicken tractor for the first time in my life and test my woodworking skills, my handyman skills, my ability to bend conduit, right? Like, I've never done that stuff before. That's going to be fun for me. It's going to be interesting to me. It's something I've never done before that I'll learn, and I'll make mistakes, and then I'll do it right. And then I'll know what it takes to do that again. But either way, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to start something new. Don't be afraid of what somebody else is going to think. You arrive at the moments in your life that you're ready to conquer. You know, there's a little bit of timing involved, there's a little bit of luck involved, but a lot of it is just perseverance, and want to. Gas in the Army, we called it, give a shit. Sorry if that offends anybody, but do you have the gas? Right now my tank's full. I want to get out there and I want to do stuff. I've enjoyed a great deal of life up to this point. Doing those things again for the next 43 years, I don't know that it's going to fill me with the same sense of purpose or pride or fulfillment. It's time for me to do something new, try something else, and this is it. And if this doesn't last, it's not a failure. I tried it. If this does last, well then fantastic. I found my next calling. But I won't know until I go through it. So don't be afraid to go through it. If you have any questions, hit me up in the comments. Subscribe if you'd like. If you do subscribe, click the notifications if you'd like. I'm not producing content every day or every minute like a lot of these folks. I'm up every once or 2 weeks, but I will, once we start doing daily moves with the chickens, you will get a lot more content because I will be out here daily. I don't know that I'll post daily, but I at least will have daily material as I move the birds. And I won't be afraid to post my failures. If something goes wrong, I want to share that with somebody so that they don't make the same mistake. But either way, enjoy yourself. Be confident in the things that you pursue. Surround yourself with people that have those same interests. Balance out that group of people so that they can help reel you in when you get a little too far ahead of yourself. But they can also push you when you are afraid to move forward. Have a great time, and we'll stay in touch. Bye.